absolute jubilation as rescuers in Venezuela pull a man from the rubble of a building 8 days after those devastating earthquakes. He is 44 years old. He worked as a mall security guard until the building, the parking garage, collapsed on him and around him. And then he spent the last 8 days under 29 feet of rubble. And this is video from today. This is video from previously. They were able to, one, they locate him. Two, he seems to be in relative good condition. And then they spent days giving him food, supplements, medication, as you can see, through a hose and a syringe that he could finally access, as these rescue teams worked to meticulously make a plan to safely free him from the wreckage.
Yeah, generally speaking, they say that the length of time you can survive underneath the rubble in an air pocket like this is 3 days, but obviously this was extended because they were able to get him food and calories and liquids through that incredible contraption, the syringe and the hose. They were communicating with him the whole time. Even then, though, really an incredibly complicated, delicate operation. Several times over the last 8 days, or I guess in this case they located him Sunday, and what's today, Thursday, 4 days since they've been communicating with him, they've had sort of internal collapses to the rubble falling down on themselves as they've been trying to get to him. So even though they were talking to him, it wasn't a sure thing that they could reach him. But now you're seeing these pictures from just moments ago of success, the man on the stretcher there.
And Stefano, you said that he was taken directly to the hospital minutes ago. Is there any clue on his condition as they were taking him to the hospital?
He's clearly affected. The case that he's alive. He was able to whisper a couple of words. His wife was here as well, waiting for him to come out. He was receiving a restoration, but just him being able to move, we could see him moving and trying to lift his arm. He's going to make it out, and this is the best and most possible welcome news.
I just want to give you a little bit of context of the human side of Hernan. Hernan Gil is 43 years old. He has 2 sons. His wife is in the premises of the rescue operation, so she would be able to reach him or talk to him right now that he's out of that situation and hopefully receiving the medical treatment that he received. He was trapped, as you said, for many hours, more than 100 hours, about 140 hours. All the time that he was there, he was talking to several groups. But the first rescuers that kept in touch with him won't speak Spanish. So that is why there are involvements of many teams, especially the Chileans one, who were able to talk to him during the past hour. Also, we know that Hernan worked as a security guard for a mall in La Guaira, and that is the place that we are seeing where he was took out. He was trapped under the debris in a parking lot where he ran after the twin earthquakes that took place in Venezuela last week. So this is, as you said, a glimpse of hope for everybody in Latin America and the world, because after many hours, many days, we kept seeing at least some people that is bringing us, is living of this situation alive and bringing us hope. And of course, it's necessary to recognize the work of many rescuers that came right away to Venezuela from 30 countries, bringing equipment, bringing dogs, bringing many things that we didn't have in Venezuela available at the moment due to the magnitude of the twin earthquakes that took place. It was remarkable how they handled the situation and started to bring their knowledge to the Venezuelans. Venezuela only experimented an earthquake in 1976, 59 years ago. So knowledge that we have about earthquakes is not as extensive as Mexico or Chile, other countries in Latin America that are used to handle with this kind of situations. Becky.
Yeah, Mary, I'm just looking at these images as I listen to you speaking, and these are further images of those who've clearly been involved in this rescue effort over the past, as you say, more than 100 hours now. And again, having been on the ground in situations like this, I mean, oftentimes these guys will those involved will sleep for just a couple of hours and come back onto the job. They are very likely exhausted, but it is times like this which sort of, restores the kind of momentum and energy for these teams on the ground. And it's so good to see this sort of coordinated action, this international action. That's a Chilean flag there that you can see. We've seen the Portuguese flags. We know that there's been an international, a Portuguese rescue team involved in this very specific search and rescue effort on the ground there. And Mary, as we look at these images, and again, these are scenes that, sadly are all too rare in Venezuela on day 8, of course, after these twin earthquakes. We're just not seeing, this sort of joy and jubilation as people are brought out from underneath the rubble. What is the story in Venezuela with regard, the success or failure of authorities, the atmosphere within which people are sort of grieving at this point? Can you just explain?
Well, I was at La Guaira, which is the place that is worst hit by the earthquake last week, and at the first very few hours were chaotic in the area. We witnessed how neighbors basically using their hands, they were trying to bring their family members or relatives out of the debris and the rubble that were all over the place. I witnessed a scenario so difficult, similar to a place that was hit like a war. It was a war scene. I've never been in a war as a correspondent, but it looks like that when I arrived to La Guaira on Wednesday. Then it started. The government began to give some response, but according to citizens, the response came late, and they are angry because of that, because they keep repeating and using social media to express their anger and saying that they need more supplies, that they need more equipment and specialists. I interviewed some people that told me we need the aid of the international community right away. That aid began to arrive to La Guaira, but just a couple of days later, when the first mission of El Salvador came to Venezuela, it was one of the first countries to offer their help. And it's remarkable how even countries that had political problems with Venezuela show up to send specialists to show their support, to send equipment and food needed in the moment. And once these specialists from all over the world came to Venezuela, the area started to organize with the ground zero area, and then establishing some rules in the area, especially for those attending the contingency, the situation, because there were many people trying to go to La Guaira using their own means that they were difficult in the rescue.
Understood. Yeah. Hernan Gil, rescued and taken from the rubble site there in La Guaira. That's a wonderful moment. A wonderful moment for his family, for his kids. As we understand, he has 2 children. For the rescuers involved in that exercise, really good news. Mary, thank you. I want to bring in Elias Ferrer, who is volunteering in Caracas to help the community. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining us. And you will also, I know, be applauding the efforts of those on the ground there in La Guera. We're looking at the images of Hernan Gil being brought out after 8 days in that underground car park. The building pancaked above him, 29 levels of debris, as we understand it. A really, really delicate exercise, but a successful one. Elias.
Well, yes. I mean, this case has been, very followed, because I think he spent 100 hours, under the rubble in the parking lot, and it was a very long process to get him out. Thankfully, the search was successful. After 8 days, and the entire country, I would say, is kind of in a state where it's trying to do what it can to help. I mean, we've seen, there's been this organization, and this has been supporting at times, but I think what's really helped morale is how we've had all these teams and all these aid from all over the world coming to to help, right? So there is, as I said, a lot of this organization, many people don't know what to do to help. There is a lot of anger with the government's response as well for not having been there faster, and so on. But what we can see is that there's a very this is where humanity is showing itself, and most people just want to be out there and help, and there's all these great stories about people being pulled out, and people been managing to get through and survive, and so on.
The U.S. Supreme Court has delivered a major ruling on birthright citizenship, rejecting President Donald Trump's effort to limit automatic citizenship for many children born in the United States. The court ruled that the 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to nearly everyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status, with only a few long-recognized exceptions, such as children of foreign diplomats. The majority opinion explained that this principle has deep roots in American history and was strengthened after the Civil War through the adoption of the 14th Amendment. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote separately, arguing that the amendment was designed as a universal guarantee of equality and citizenship, not a protection limited to any single group. Chief Justice John Roberts also emphasized that the amendment was intended to settle the issue of citizenship once and for all. The decision drew strong disagreement from 4 conservative justices, who argued that the Constitution should be interpreted differently and that Congress could still play a role in shaping future immigration policy. Legal scholars say the ruling is one of the most significant constitutional decisions in recent years because it reaffirms a long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment. Supporters of the decision argue it protects a fundamental constitutional right, while critics believe the court missed an opportunity to reconsider how birthright citizenship should apply today. The debate is far from over. Immigration is expected to remain one of the biggest political issues heading into future elections, and this ruling is likely to shape that conversation for years to come. What do you think? Should birthright citizenship remain exactly as it is today, or should Congress pursue changes through the constitutional process? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.